Hey guys, welcome back, and yeah, let's see what we've missed. All right, let's jump into the geez. So let's see, prices move a lot. Let's just go to the 4 hour quickly and take this off. This. All right, so what we see now, we just started this 4 hour. We breaking through this fair value gap, making this. Sorry, let me just take that off. Right, so we see price has broken through this fair value gap, which is now, if we close like this, an inverted fair value gap, and then the next targets here is all going to be up here. I mean, my next target now would come to that 279 or 280 level. All right, let's go to a 1 hour quickly and see what it looks like there. First fair value gap, we've gone through it. That's all good there. Okay, so here we can see there was equal highs. We've gone there quite nicely. Then we've got at this equal lows here, which we really just took our time, but we got there eventually. So now the question is, what are we going to do to get to this target up here? Okay, let's keep an eye and see if there's going to be, I mean, it's pretty straight up. And at some point you'll see some sort of correction. Okay, so let's leave that. Let's go to 1 minute and see what 1 minute got in store for us here. Right, I don't see anything specific. If we go back to this view, let's go to 15 minutes. Alright, 15 minutes. Just want to see, there's nothing. Okay, so our next target should actually be up here. And there's a nice equal highs with a nice fair value gap. Right, yeah. So this is fairly, you know, solid. And this would be a nice fair value gap to target if we want to run up, maybe up there and then come back, consolidate. This was equal highs, right? Yeah. Alrighty, so let's call this EQHs, and we'll just keep that on the right so we can see it all together. Alright, so let's see. Let's give it a minute here. I just want to make sure everything is fine. So we've got some nice equal highs up there. so we said this is pretty much 20.055. Right, so let's see if we can get some sort of a pullback here and then see if we can target that. Right, let's have a look here, and alright, so let's just run through this quickly. From the AM from this morning, there was equal lows here. We spiked through it, then we target the equal highs up here. If you go to a lower time frame, you'll see there was equal highs here, and maybe we can go there on the 1 minute. Nice equal highs here, and we moved up nicely. Alright, so we moved up to that equal high pretty straightforward. We broke through this pink block here, which is I think it's a 1 hour fair value gap, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And as you can see here, there's an hourly fair value gap. There was liquidity just below it. We went up in there, break through it. We could see some sort of a test back before we go to the next equal highs on a lower time frame. That spike there is equal highs on I think 5 minutes or 15, and there's a fair value gap, and then we've got a similar situation up higher, and then it carries on higher. But for now, let's focus on this area here. That could be the target. We could see the pullback here in the 1 minute and give us, if not today, maybe some consolidation here, but let's have a look. Just keep an eye on it. Right, so let's just keep an eye and see. Let's see if there's any pivots close by. So we just crossed over a pivot level here. We tested it, broke up, fair value gap, tested it, and let's take that off. Let's see where the VWAP. Okay, so VWAP is probably way down here. Yeah, so we pretty far away from that. So yeah, I think what we need to do is just sit tight, because we've got this level here. This fair value gap. And this fair value gap has not been, look, there's a little test there, but it hasn't folded like this one here. This one here, you can see we actually fold pretty decent size of it. So I would look, if we invert this, to go back down to this level here to maybe test down here, or if it bounced there, maybe move higher from there. Right, so yeah, so let me know what you aiming to reach for in this PM session, and let's mark it out and see if you know what the context is around it. So my big thing now is just to see what price does in that fair value gap. If we want to break through it to go lower, or are we going to bounce from it, or we're going to get one of those days where now we just get the move and it continues without giving us decent opportunities for entries type of things. Alright, so let's look at this level. This what is it? 19646. Oh, so that was down here. $646. Yeah, I actually took a. Let me just take my face off here. Alright, so I looked at this equal lows that we marked out here from earlier. This fair value gap got inverted here. I didn't like the way it was inverted, so and then it started going sideways here. And this test in here, I actually long here, and I took it up to this equal highs right there. I got out there, and then as you can see, it just continued going higher. So after the fact, we could have made good money, but I'm glad I took that long just to the other side. So that was a good trade. Okay, so I see you on a CFD. All right, let's see if I can find a price on the CFD and see where you done your 6.4. Just give me a second. I'm looking on a different chart here. 19.6. Right. Yeah, no, I can't compare my other platform with yours. Alright, so Pepperstone broker is priced different. Okay, cool. Alright, I think for now, regardless of the levels, you know, between brokers, I think it's still important to mark out. Would love to see something in here. And then just let's go back to a 5 minutes just to show you guys what we are targeting. I'm targeting this level up here. Where do I get that level from? I'm getting that level from, yeah, there's some nice equal highs here, and on an hourly that's a fair value gap. So those equal highs is key to me, and it lines up with the 1 hour fair value gap. So that's where I think if we're going to push higher, that's where I think we're going to get to. Although it's pretty, it feels almost abnormal just to jump in anyway, yeah, because we've been going up and up and up. So yeah, just be careful. I must tell you guys, the AM session I did not take a live trade there, and I took a few trades on the paper trade account, and I can tell you one thing. I took 4 trades in the right direction. I got stopped out 4 times, and I left it, and I literally sat and just wait for the right. Unfortunately, that right trade or that perfect trade did not play out in the session that I was live stream, but I did say, target, look for that equal lows to get hit first. Well, it looked like it was going there, and then look for some sort of a turnaround to go higher. Now, the problem was that turnaround wasn't neat and wasn't nice at all. So, just one of those things. All right, so let's see what's happening. Okay, let's go back to a 1 minute. All right. Consolidation up, and this could go down to take us back in here somewhere, or it could just bounce and carry on higher. So what I can tell you guys, going forward, I will be 99% of the time I'll do PM session streams. I'll obviously do the AMs as well, but there might be days where AM's not gonna, well, I'm not gonna be available for the AM session. So it doesn't matter. There's some good profit to be made in the PMs as well. And but yeah, just check out my channel and set that notification bell, so when I do set the placeholder out, so you can get notified. Okay, let's see. Pretty slow at the moment. The reason I marked this fair value gap out and out this one here, this one is also holding price nicely within the box. But here, because we don't see this fair value gap get filled, so we could quite easily see a bounce back down here to fill and take this low out, and this low, and this low, and this low, higher lows. And that's liquidity with a fair value gap. That's normally a decent magnet for price. But as we saw in the last 2 weeks, I think, I mean, we've marked out higher up. We've got like a million different levels of liquidity, but we decided to just continue down. And if you look at the seasonal tendency for stocks, in this case your Nasdaqs, S&Ps and all of that, April is normally the month where you'll see bullishness till around August, September, maybe October. So that's something interesting, but that doesn't mean we just buy it. I mean, this thing can go down again. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about on the, no, I'm not going to show that because that's the 4 hour and we've already broken through it. It all depends on how this 4 hour candle, how we close today. Are we going to close back into this pink block, or are we going to close higher. Then we could see possibly some sort of a pullback tomorrow. It all depends on how we close. Yeah, so let's see. Maybe this gets left for tomorrow. There's no, I don't think there's any news tomorrow. It's FOMC and this week. So yeah, just be careful the way we trade. Okay. Maybe we just see a quiet PM session here because we've already moved so much up already. Alright, let's do this. Let's go to the daily. Show you guys what mine looks like. Alright, so daily, that's a 4 hour right on top there. So there's a lot. I need to just stretch this all out. There's lots here. And different time frames and all of that. So let's see, you said 914, 19. So I assume if in the chat that 19914 is going to be a CFD number. Okay, let's see to the left. 19. Right, so I don't know if yeah, it's a pity we can't share images here so we can see 19914. Right, 5th of November. So we're looking at those lows there, that little gap, which is in line with that liquidity up there. Okay, support and resistance. Okay, cool. Alright, so let me show you guys while we're on this topic. If we, let's do this. I'm going to show you guys a weekly. And I'm going to take off my drawings. Alright, so in the last 4 weeks, we got this down week, down week, down week, 4 down weeks in a row. So my thought was this week that we're going to, and I said it in a live stream last week, that we would probably see an up close week. And I think this up close week could potentially be in this little volume imbalance there between those two candles where there's a gap. Maybe up in there and maybe a pullback. If we want to continue lower, then this level here, the swing point here, that's an obvious liquidity level. And then don't forget this low and this low. These are equal lows. And we tried to take this last year, I think. And we left off and we made higher highs and all of that. So this is a pretty steep, decline here compared to these ones. I mean, that's also decent decline here. And this was in, that one was in July. Alright, so but anyways, so I thought if we're going to close on that 4 hourly through that fair value gap inverted to the downside, or then we could see lower prices here and then ultimately go down to the 17,800 level and then bounce from there. But I don't know if we're going to go there, and that's why it's critical for us to see. Just go back to 4 hours. This gap here show you guys. Okay, so the hourly, sorry, I'm jumping around here. The hourly, that is, or the daily, has a fair value gap here. And we were right in it. And then right below this pink block, there's a fair value gap, and price was holding in there. And we broke through that now. So I thought because we dancing around between these two gaps, we could see a possible push lower. But this is almost fairly equal to the bottom, so I don't know if we're going to maybe drop some point, just spike through it, maybe touch that and then continue higher. So I don't know. So seasonal tendency for this now, the cycle is in April to be bullish. Will it be bullish? Will I be right? I don't know. That's just what history told us, and that's just what's there. So if you find yourself in a bullish market, I mean, just keep that in mind, that that's where we are. All right, let's look at this fair value gap. Now we're coming down to this, which is not bad. That's what we thought, and all we got to do now is to see, will it bounce there or break lower? All right, so let's see what I would not advise, even if it looks like we're going lower here, to take a short and try to target that. I've done it so many times. It works sometimes, and sometimes you just get screwed properly. So just bear that in mind. Okay, let's see if it's going to reject that. I must tell you guys one thing, price action looks pretty unstable lately, but there's going to come a time when the tide's turned, where this thing goes bullish and all of that again, where everything's going to line up again, and then it's almost like, I don't want to say trading becomes easy or looks easier, and I'll tell you why. If something keeps going higher, every retail guy out there buy the dips and it goes higher, buy the dips and it goes higher, and then trading seems easy. But the minute we start going consolidate or going into the opposite direction, people can't get in their mind that stocks can go down, and it has to go up. But remember, the market doesn't have to do anything. So just bear that in mind. So there's going to come a time this year still that trading's going to become more straightforward, not simpler, not easier, but just more straightforward. And that's when, if you haven't blown all your accounts during what it's doing now, where it's a bit confusing, that's where you're going to excel in your profits. But I mean, we're not dying here. Price action is not that bad. It's just frustrating. I mean, last week was a horrible week for a lot of people, because liquidity, you get stopped out all the time before it gets there. It doesn't go there quickly. It takes time. And no, it's all about timing. Okay, so that white candle is holding price there, and because this black candle closed below that swing low, that suggests that price will go lower into that fair value gap, and that's something we looked at even in the AM session, and I'll show you guys. Yeah, I promise you guys, I've been trading Nasdaq for a while now, and I've seen some easy, good times, some frustrating times, and then sometimes where I thought, that's it, I'm giving up, can't trade. Makes you think that you don't know anything about trading. But anyways, we stick through it, and that's how you learn, basically. And that's why I started this channel, to keep myself committed, and because I know how it feels for some people who's trying to make it work but don't see it, or just need someone to trade with and not just to trade on their own. And saying all of that, what I'm doing here is obviously not financial advice. This is just me educate, learn what I've learned, and learn new things that's new in the market, which we haven't seen, or maybe what I haven't seen. Maybe you've seen it, and that's basically the whole goal for me, as to whoever wants to join on this, on these live streams. I do it even if I don't live stream. I don't, then I'm sitting in front of my chart, I'm looking through it, I'll make notes and all of that. And I thought, okay, well, let's do a live stream, then maybe there's some other people out there who wants to follow along and learn, maybe ask questions. I mean, we can make it as educational as we can, where people can obviously let me know what they want to look at, and maybe if we can't do it today, we'll look at it tomorrow and turn it into something good for everyone. Thanks, man. It is, love trading, and love doing this with you guys. All right, let's see. We missed that fair value gap again. See what I told you guys. Some people would see this. I was one of them, where I thought, that's almost like a certain thing that we're going to go there. Then jump in here. Then you're in the green, and then suddenly, boom, you're in the red. Then you want to chuck the laptop in the swimming pool, or I don't know, whatever you want to do when you pull your hair out. But all this lows here, see, this low didn't get taken out. Took that little one out, but this is still intact, closer to this fair value gap. That's all liquidity, just waiting for us. If there was a fair value gap up here, I would have said, we're going to go into that gap and then reject. What I want to show you guys, we spoke about in the AM. So what I normally do, I just want to make it a little bit bigger here. So if you see a swing low like this, and you want to see if the market is going to go, in this case, let's use this as an example. Are we going to continue up? Because at some point this black pin candle was a nice big fat white candle. Some people will jump in it. You gotta wait for the candle to close. Because we only pinned through that high, that suggests that there's some sort of a rejection there, right? This low here, we came and closed below it. That's a suggestion that we could continue lower. So that's a simple way of if you want to scalp, if you really want to scalp small scalps, if you see that you can either sell there and just for a few points down and close. There's another swing, we closed below it, we came up in there in that white candle, which is a order block, and you could have sold that piece up there, targeting the low down there. But then we carrying on. We pull back here. So it's not 100% these things, but that's very, very good to keep in mind. Here's these highs here, and as you can see, we close above, and then the next candle was continuation. Here's our high here, we close above, we came back, continue up. So those are all small scalps. This is not a strategy to get in a trade and hold it for home run type of trade. That's not what it is. So let's see. right? Unfortunately, this low is too close to this, so I wouldn't even look at these lows. I need a swing point. 3 candles, the middle candle's lower than both candles on either side. And but if we close below this and close below this fair value gap, we might see this, maybe, I don't know, if maybe down here, back to this pink block, I think, I don't know. Nothing A plus now. So, I mean, if you were OTE trader, this is probably going to be your setup, right? Yes. That's above 50%. That's your premium zone. You don't get to your 79% there. But this is the low you would target in this scenario, and obviously that fair value gap. Alright, so the fair value gap, we like it because there was a swing low in the top of that fair value gap, but have not filled the gap yet. And that's why we assume that if we start breaking down to go and target this area here. And see, now we're creating almost like equal lows on top of it. So we could see a pullback into this fair value gap and then fill it. But there you can see it's filling it very close to the 50% there. Looks like something wants to change here. Let's just mark this out. There's a nice fair value gap. But now we need to see what's price going to do here. So now you'll see the liquidity is run here, so we can either continue higher now, or if there's more liquidity down here, so you can see there is. I mean, it could come all the way down, but doesn't have to. I mean, we also know there's liquidity up here, so it looks like a long way, but this is key. Whatever happens here. It's never a good idea to get stuck between two fair value gaps, because that's not a place you want to be. We either want to invert this and continue in a direction, or what you can see is happening here now. We made a high, lower, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and this is obviously at a premium, so this is a good place to sell if you expect a lower, lower low. Because this is now, starting that trend line for your retail traders, which is going to create liquidity for the future. So let's see if this candle closes below this fair value gap and that swing point. That will give us some sort of a, I don't want to say guarantee, but a good probability for price, the next candle, to go lower, if you then wish to look for some scalping. See how these two candles highs form, at that 50% and that fair value gap. It was like perfect. Right, let's see. We're going to turn this into IFG or what? Could spike back into this fair value gap just to take those two highs and then drop. Let me tell you one thing, you know, if it feels like it's all algos, this is a very regulated market. And I'm not saying if I, you know, talk about regulated market, I'm not talking just people putting money in and money out. There is definitely, there's definitely algorithmic trading that happens in the markets, because price can't be as perfect as this when you mark out fair value gaps, when you mark out certain levels. It's because there's definitely algorithms and AI and all of that that knows exactly how most of the people think, and obviously use that as a psychological way to manipulate people in the wrong. I mean, I can show you now. We made a low here and now we're making all these pins. A retail trader would sit here and say, all right, we took some liquidity here, someone who knows something about it, and see how we struggle to, this is like proper support. I can tell you on a different view that I've got here, there's definitely, you know, a flow to the downside that's coming. And this is where I would thought, because there's this pins, that we would see some spike up to take those liquidities out and maybe spike through it and then come back down and drop. And then people are like, oh, what happened? Why? Alright, so still holding that level, that fair value gap. It would be great if we can see a spike up to confuse people thinking we're going higher, because the ultimate trend is higher, right? And yeah, maybe as people, you know, I think if you go on a higher time frame, people see that as a bull flag, this, and then see that fake out and then drop. I'm not saying bull flags doesn't work. If you know how to trade them, then in the right context can work for you. Any method will work for you. I mean, I've been taught, and I've done it for so long, to know about liquidity, because I used to look at this and say, geez, there's a solid resist or support here, so we're just going to see a push. And then suddenly you see a push and you're like, okay, this is it. You jump on it, and then immediately it just boom, going the opposite direction, and then you're like, what the hell's happening? But for as long as we are sitting between these two fair value gaps, we don't touch it. But this setup I've seen a lot of the times. The only thing that's missing here now is a candle up in here, making people think this is support, and now we're moving up and break these highs where they see that as breaking structure, and as they enter that, it pulls back and makes this huge pin to go lower. Alright, let me take my face off again and let's zoom in here quickly on a 5 minute. Alright, so all this up move here on a 1 minute, there's definitely liquidity here, and there's a swing point there. So if you really look at this, that's the 50%. You will never buy just randomly here because it feels more like in a premium, and you don't want to buy anything at premium. You want price to go into a discount. Discounts below the 50% between two swing points. This is a swing point that instigate price to go higher. And yeah, now this is a level to keep an eye out, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark it out here. So we know it's there. If we go back to a 1 minute, so it's pretty much in this little block here, order block. See, now we're getting that bounce off here into this fair value gap. Now I want to see it go higher here, because that will make people believe that we are going higher. See, now I would love to see that pin higher before it breaks down like this. So for us to do anything, this low here lines up with this fair value gap's bottom. So you want to see a candle close below that, and maybe see some sort of a retest, and then target this low here. $8.39. Yeah, I think we could. It all depends on price. I mean, there's nothing clear. This fair value gap is pretty much filled. There's a little gap here. There's gaps down here. So we could potentially come all the way back to this pink box here. But I think for me, as almost like a low-hanging fruit type of thing, is to manipulate on the breakout of those highs, and then come back, invert here, and then target this here. I mean, if we go and close below, you know, this low here, then you can target the next low and the next low, and this gap down here. Alright, let's see if it's gonna make people believe on anything to go higher now. And then again, guys, I can be completely wrong and this thing just go up and up and up. But I guess that's the part of trading. I've said it so many times. It's easy to sit after the fact and say, this was the nice setup, tra la la, that's what you would have done. But it's different sitting and look at the market right here, right now, and say, all right, what's the scenario? The scenario is we're stuck between these two. This is where it is. We took the liquidity here, and we've got people who shorted this, and they move their stop losses down, maybe to these equal highs. And now we just consolidate. Now everybody's like sitting here who's in a position thinking, what the hell's going on here? If this thing goes up there, everybody gets stopped out here, and people's like, oh, we're going to invert this, or we breaking structure to the upside, or whatever it is. People change their positions, and then you'll see that big push lower. And remember, for this long uptrend to continue higher, it would make sense for price to go to this line that we drew here, which is the 50% of that move. Anything below that or at that would be fair value. I mean, if you took a short here because you were OTE trader, you didn't even get to the low of that swing point, and now you're stuck in this. I mean, you're in profit, but it's all a mental game at the end of the day. All right, let's see. Making lower highs, lower highs. Remember, guys, if we break these lows, we don't want to see spikes through it. We want to see body close. That is always more confident than just a spike. See there, we're only spiking yet still. Okay, let's see. So now people, breakout traders would short this. I mean, just thinking now I'll go back up there. And now everybody's like, what the hell's going on? We just ran those equal lows there. Right, if we close below this and we close below this low, I'll probably look at taking a paper trade short. But let's see. Okay, so if we go to that 50% here for test, I'll try to short it there. Let's see. Okay, so I'm in it, but now I want to see price. See, now that's the problem. Normally you see a quick test and then continuation, continue down. And now this is where they could go all the way up here and then get stuck still. But let's see. What is the stop if I put it up here? So 1,400. Then again, the other thing is Monday is normally not the best day of trading, especially FOMC. It's FOMC week. So, yeah. FOMC I think is on Wednesday. That's where I'll probably just trade the PM session, not the AM session. Because you don't want to get caught up in that price action before the news. See how we're stuck between these two fair value gaps. I promise you, whenever you're stuck like this, it's not even worth taking a trade. So this is probably one of those dumb trades, because even before I took the trade, I said this swing point here, we need to close below it. We didn't. We tested in, while we went in there, we assumed it's going to be a test. And then exactly what I said, we're going to, go to the opposite side. Guys, this is a paper trade account, it's not a live account. I'm not taking any live trades here. So, yeah. So now we've taken the equal lows here, the equal highs there. So now whoever switch their positions from shorts to longs, stop on both sides. And hopefully we read it all correctly to now continue down to here. But again, we need to go and close below this swing low here, and then target that, and then go down there. Nothing A plus here, so okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my stop right here. It's not probably the best risk reward here. The reason I put it there, we run these, we close below the midpoint, and now hopefully we reject to go lower. And maybe we can make it 1,000 to make it a 1-to-1 risk reward. Now, the better way of trading this would have been to wait for that scenario to play out there and then take your short. Then your risk reward would be much better. That is if we're going to break through the fair value gap to go lower. Okay, so see, we didn't close below the swing point here. So now we need this candle to close below here, at least. And I think actually, if this thing starts pushing, we're probably going to go back to this bottom down here, to this pink block. Right, let's see if we can validate this fair value gap to turn into an IFEG. So we like the rejection here. All we need now is this to push and close below the swing point. Close below it, then we can see a more aggressive like push. So we close below the fair value gap. And there's the test on the 50%, what I was hoping for. Yeah, there's the test now. Okay, now hopefully we can close lower down and not the way it's doing it now. Maybe this little gap here. Want to see that white body still staying with, yeah, I'll see that close outside of that IFG is not the best, because we can go all the way back up here now. Right, for us to go lower, maybe this is the swing point, then we can try our stop to there. Then we must close below the swing point to go lower here. Just going to wait for this candle to close, because if that's the swing point, I'll just reduce my risk down to there. Then again, guys, when you see candles invert this side, invert up, invert down, invert up, sometimes it's just best to to close the trade and move on. 920. Look, if it wants to stop me out, it must stop me out here. Because then, I don't know, maybe it wants to do some other stuff first. Alright, so I'm taking that as a loss. I still think we want to go down here, but if it starts going this sideways price action, then I don't want to get stuck in this. And as you can see, I mean, it's pretty much sideways here, taking highs out, taking lows out, and back into between the two. Gosh. Just gotta love these sideways trades. Right, so let's see. Are we going to get a close below swing point here? And again, the funny thing is, not one of these candles closed below these swing points. And exactly what it did, just test and go into a direction of that. Same with this candle up here, did not close above the swing points, and then direction was down. That's how you can normally, see and keep yourself out of some stupid sideways move. We'll see now at 15:50, next 10 minutes. That's when the macro time starts. And that's normally when the macro runs certain, liquidity pools. But to me, just looking at this feels like a, sideways move just to trap people and hold them there to maybe something later or overnight or something to that effect. Right, so if this candle closes down like this, I think the next candle is going to push lower. Maybe it's going for that low. Then spike through that low. Let's see if it's going to close below it. See again, just a spike. But if we close below the swing point, you could have shorted it there to that low as a scalp. And then we're back in the range. Okay, now if we want to go lower, we want to take out this low but close below it, not just spike through it. See, every time we spike through it, we reverse. We spike through it, we reverse. The minute we close down below it, we move in a direction. But then in this case, this candle should have closed down there. Then we could have expected maybe a pullback and then down. Good grief. I mean, we look at this sideways move here, and I sometimes sit in my mind and thinking, it's not worth trading, right? No, it's right, it's not worth trading it. But what's worth doing is still monitor it and try to figure out the pieces and see at what point do we actually start continue in a direction. So we know if we want to go higher, we want to get to this line here. All right, when do we get there? Okay, at this point we thought we run liquidity here and then we go close. We didn't close below that, we're back into the range. We didn't close below that, we're back into the range. So if we close below here, then you can target that. The problem is, the minute you close down here, I mean, you don't have much to target, right? So, I mean, if you look up here, we marked that out. We closed, and there was a decent, trade to go down to. But here, the return's not going to be that great. And what I'll do is, if we get down and close there, I'll take a paper trade and put a stop there, and you'll see it's not really worth it. Worth the risk. Because where you're going to put your stop, you're going to put your stop above the swing high here. And it all depends how far the candle closed below the swing point. This thing can close down here, then you don't want to take it. It's amazing how that fair value gap IFEG type of thing, that yellow orange block, is holding price. Just mark it out so you can see it. It's close below that line. We just refuse to go in a direction. Guys, we're getting close to the we've got 1 minute, then that's when it's the algo window, and then we might see a push in a direction. Yeah. Okay, let's see what this does now. See that quick spike down. Important to wait and see when the candle close. If it close like that, good for a short. Maybe just gonna go straight there. Maybe we get some sort of a pullback up here. See if we're lucky. There was a pullback, but not, and there's a fair value gap now. And there we go through that point that we marked out earlier. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this off so you get a better view. And now obviously if we close below this level, what was that? If you shorted there, 92, it's about 10 points, right? And see, we did not close below that swing point on this side. So now we most probably gonna go test this fair value gap. And we'll mark it blue because it's a fair value gap. Now we want to see if this is where we're gonna go through. I normally like the 50%. To some people would just take it as we spark into the fair value gap. Nothing wrong with that. I'll probably try to get in around, yeah. Call it 1,000 if we can get it. Let's see. Just missed my entry. Amazing. So how cool that would have been if I was picked up there. It's like no drawdown, and yeah, it would have been a nice trade. I mean, if I was picked up there, just to take it down here, that's half of that, that's $500. And then, boom, that's the macro. Just so you all know, that's the macro taking us down into this big block. And we're closing down below all of this. So the chance for the next candle, if we stay below this, to go low again. Yep. There we go. It's amazing how price reacts on those swing points, especially macro time and all of that. That's definitely something to pay attention to. This was the level, the fair value gap that we marked, well, we spoke about earlier, and that's exactly where price is bouncing in. And we're obviously in a nice discount here. I'm not saying we're going to bounce up from here. I'm just saying if you shorted up here, 71, 61 is 10, 51, that's 20 points just on that push there. Well, it's great if you guys took actually a trade here and make some money. Well, great for you guys. Interesting about macro. That's good. You'll see every hour 10 to till 10 past. That's the macro time. And yeah, if you follow, I mean, we followed everything to the T, right? If you really think what we said not one of these swing highs, not one candle closed above that to take us higher, but we got this closed down. The next candle was a down close. There was a fair value gap, and this was in the macro time. We test the fair value gap, and we wanted to see something close below that, and we saw an aggressive move down. Then you could have shorted here or wait for some sort of a pushback, but pullback, but we didn't get that, and immediate push down. So what you normally would do is, if you sell here, to put a stop up here, and obviously try to keep it as tight, depends on where it's moving to. And yeah, so that was actually a great, great scalp or trade, if you may. And if you really think about it cleverly, if you take these swing points and break below it to go lower on a higher time frame, you can make even more money on a lower time frame. Say, argument's sake, you look at a 15-minute or hourly, and this thing appears, and you take a trade or go down to a 1 minute, look for some sort of a pullback type of thing, maybe inverted fair value gap or fair value gap to test, and you can then obviously take more points out. But I guess if you consistently can take about 10 points a day, I mean, you can easily make good money. Well done to those who made some good money. It looks like some people actually made some 67 points or 30 points. Well done, guys. That's awesome. And now what I wanted to show you guys, let's go back to the 4 hourly. Remember, we were yeah, I've got my face off here. All right, so this red candle here, this is I think this is a 1 hour, if I'm not mistaken. Actually should mark this out. Yes, a 1 hour fair value gap. We inverted it, and now we're testing it. So we could quite easily see price bounce up from here, but I'm going to take this off, but just want to show you guys. There's a fair value gap there, so we could spike into that and then go higher. And if you really think about it, this swing point here, we close above that. This could possibly just the pullback to go to these highs up here. I'm not saying this is a 1 hour chart. I would go to a 1 minute to then obviously work my way from there. So you want to see something that set up here to take you, I mean, there's a high there. If you could get a close above that, you could see a push up into this fair value gap. Those are all scalps, guys, but yeah, this is also not the time of day where you would look for a nice big trade. You could get it like this push down here, but for a nice setup, A plus type of setup, you gotta wait probably for the AM or lunchtime type of thing into later in the day. All right, so yes, so that midpoint of that the pink level, which is that hourly fair value gap, we're right there now, and we could bounce from here to go higher, or we could close back down here. Then we haven't really inverted this on a 4 hourly, but yeah, I think it's Nasdaq is one of those things that I understand very well, and I guess you just, I mean, I'll come back tomorrow and look at a higher time frame, like a 4-hour chart, and see where we're at, see where the liquidity is. Then I'll go back to the 15 and all the way down to a 1 minute to decide where the closest liquidity is for us, and then I'll just play around with it like we did today, and it played out actually nicely. I didn't take a trade here, but the way we read it was good. All right, guys, I'm gonna dial off now. It was great sitting with you guys. Thanks for the support and the guys that obviously took part. And shout out to Rihanna, who's been very active in the chats today. So I'll see you guys tomorrow again. And it was good. Don't overtrade. Don't try to trade into the last minute. We might see some consolidation, price moving nowhere now. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. If I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you sometimes in a week. And take care, guys. Cheers. Bye bye.